Hey there everybody, and welcome to the show. Happy holidays! I'm Carmen, and I'm excited to share with you guys on this webisode some amazing metal tooling techniques. You're gonna use some tools that are gonna blow you away, as well as some alcohol inks which work great on non-porous surfaces, and I found some great paper that happens to incorporate my last name, De La Paz, of the peace. So peace on earth, 'tis the season, let's get started. Now every page starts with an inspiration from one thing or another. For this page, my inspiration came from the piece of paper created by Spanish memories. The page says Paz En La Tierra, which means peace on earth. I had a little bit of Paz En La Tierra down here in the white. I had it up here in a lighter color, but I really wanted that image to pop out. So how was I going to do that? Easy. I have found these amazing tools by 10 Second Studios. They're actually metal tooling equipment, but let me show you how I started with the design and incorporating it into the metal. What I did easily is I photocopied my paper, and I'm using this actually as the template for the design. And then I cut a 6x6 35mm piece of aluminum, also by 10 Second Studios. This stuff is pliable, it's great for embossing and debossing. To get started, we always want to turn one corner back so that you know which is the back side of the page and which is the front side of your work, so that when you're embossing and debossing, you don't get confused. Just folded up the piece of paper, take my metal and just put it right in here. And we've got here the 10 Second Studio refining tool, which on one end has a metal tip and on the other end has a plastic tip. Now you use the metal tip to work as almost like a tracing tool, and you just quickly trace right where your design is. It's almost like you're just writing with a pencil. You don't have to press into it, you don't have to press hard. You start to see it here, and I've already worked one ahead, and we've got it done here. So now that we've got this all done, the actual fun starts to begin, which is embossing and debossing. You're going to get a little piece of plexi, which is important for support, so that you actually have a really smooth, flat surface that has strength. And then you're also going to get two pads. One's a little thinner, and the other one is a little thicker for different tools, and we'll talk about that as we go along. So now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my plexi, put that down, put down my foam pad, and then I'm going to put my design over it. Now I'm choosing, do I want to emboss or deboss? Deboss meaning that it's pressed down, emboss meaning that it's pressed up. I want the image to actually raise up, so I'm going to flip it over and work backwards, which at first is a little tricky, especially when you're dealing with letters, but we'll get to that in a minute. We're going to use the plastic tip right here, and we're going to gently press into it. So what I do first is I'd go really gently at first to make sure that I'm creating my groove line wherever my design is, because I can see it. And then once I've got it once down, then I go back a couple of more times and just get it nice and refined in there. So we've got it on one side just like that. See it raised on this side just a little bit? And there. Now the next thing that you do once you outline the whole thing, which we've done here, is wherever you've pressed in or out, whether you're embossing or debossing, then you want to refine the edges. And how you refine the edges is, we already have pressed pretty hard here to create the outline of our pattern. Then to either side of the same pattern, you're going to press into it on the inside and the outside to then make the whole image just pop that much further. So now that we've done some refining on all of the page just like this, then you can go ahead and freehand whatever it is that you want to put into your pattern. Now we've got our bird here, and then if you want, I can add in here some lines to create the feathers. I can also give the head a little definition here, give the body a little definition. We can then define the wings and then give this a little bit of definition in here. And what you're trying to do is create highs and lows so that later on when we actually apply the alcohol inks, the alcohol inks will have places to go and the design will come out even further. Let's see here, maybe just a couple of more lines here, and this is all done with just the refining tool. The last thing that we didn't talk about are the actual letters. Now on the paper it says Paz En La Tierra. Well, I wanted to make sure that everybody out there understood it, so I decided that on my metal design I would actually write Peace on Earth. So now what I did with the letters is I defined the P already according to what was in the design because I knew that had to be the anchor. And I'm going to go ahead and outline that. And then because I didn't have Peace on Earth, I'm going to do it freehand. So what we're going to do is we're going to write it backwards. This way, just like that. So there we have Peace on Earth. In the same way we do all of the outlining to refine the image, we're going to do the same thing and refine the letters so that they actually pop and you can actually see them. Okay, we're going to get that all done. So I'm going to take a little wheel, and it has little dots. And you can go anywhere that you want. And I'm just going to lightly press down, and you're just going to rotate the tool. Wherever you start, you want to make sure that the instrument stays on the page so that your dots are consistent. And see how it just kind of continues to bring that to life? And maybe in between here, you can do curves, you can do anything that you want to just continue to add more depth and dimension to your bird. Now, the last little detail on this guy is he doesn't have an eye. Oh my gosh, my bird needs to see. Well, 10 Second Studios has this great tool called a ball and cup. And it's called a ball and cup because on one end it has the ball, and on the other end it has the cup. Now it comes in small, medium, and large. And for the eye, I'm going to use the small one. Now remember earlier I told you there were two foam pads. There was the thinner one for just flatter designs, and then there's the thicker one, and this one you always want to use with the ball and cup. So what we're going to do here, you want to press down and kind of twist it around just a little bit like that, and when you flip it over, it just doesn't look quite right yet. You take the cup and you actually press down on it just like that, and there you've got your eye. Not bad, huh? So now we just have one last little element to do, and that is right here. I want to create an edging on all of my image. Why? Because metal has kind of these sharp little edges on it. It can also roll up. When you actually go to put the glue on it, you want to make sure that all of the edges have a nice smooth surface so that that's where the glue is actually going to adhere to any kind of surface that you're going to be placing your metal on. And you just simply put it over, and just on all of your edges, just going to roll that over wherever you'd like. And like I said, because this is an edge, it's okay to kind of come back because you really want it to be nice and smooth and flat on that, okay? So now that we've done that, we've cut it out, we've refined everything. The last thing that you want to do to make sure that your design is nice and flat and even is we're going to use a paper stump. And all you do is you press into the areas where you don't have the design so that you can actually flatten it out. And just through the whole design, you just want to quickly and evenly just flatten it all out so that all of your design kind of seems to raise out of the page. Now, what we do here is you can either do this before you cut the page or after you cut the page because you want to kind of let it dry a little bit. But what we're going to do with this one is we're going to now use the Ranger Adirondack inks to actually tint the metal. These are specially manufactured inks for non-porous surfaces. I wanted to use two colors specifically on the bird, and on the other elements I've only used one color. But I wanted to use the green, the pesto green here, and then I'm just going to put that on there freely, liberally, and then you're just going to swirl it around. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the reds so that you can see how they can both blend in each other. Don't think about it. Just have fun with it. Let it go. It's absolutely beautiful what ends up happening on the other end of it. Take your time with it and swirl it around and let it play. And you kind of want the colors to melt in and out of each other. And then we're just gonna let that dry. If I put a really thin coat, it almost dries instantly. Why? Because it's alcohol in it. Now that our alcohol inks have dried, there's one last step to ensuring that our metal tooling stays intact. And that is, on the back side, we want to put some lightweight, and it's important that it's lightweight spackle into all of your embossing and debossing, because over time your metal will have pressure put on it, and if you don't put the spackle in it to hold the integrity of what you've done with all the metal tooling, it'll be smashed and flat. It's almost like peanut butter, like you're spreading peanut butter on the back of the on the metal, and you just set that aside and let that dry. Now we're ready to put the page together. Got the alcohol ink on the front. On the back, I've got the spackle already dried. You want to use really good heavy-duty tape. I'm using red liner tape here, and so we're just going to place it where we had originally lifted the design from. I'm going to put that right there and press that down. And then I have all of these other wonderful elements here. The same thing, metal. Got the alcohol inks, the ball and cup, bigger ball and cup. I'm going to put that over here, and I found these great matching chipboards. I'm going to put those right in place there. And I have another one here, and I purposely added one red and one green because my chipboards were opposite and I wanted the whole page to pop. I have a beautiful picture of me and my mom right here, right in front of our Christmas tree, right there. But that wasn't quite enough. I honestly thought I was going to finish the page right here, and I needed something else. It wasn't enough. So then I decided to create these little banners, top and bottom. And I went with a really simplistic design on them because I kind of wanted it to kind of reflect almost like a Christmas present. And so here is the finished page. Happy holidays, peace on earth, Paz En La Tierra. I hope you guys all found some great inspiration in the metal tooling. Thanks a lot. We'll see you guys the next time. Happy holidays to you and your family.
For step-by-step instructions on how to create this week's project, download the design guide featuring special make-it-your-own bonus tips.